Yeah, you have a pretty,
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town Council meeting for Monday, March 7th. If you will please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think that's Charles Brown. Zooming in. Charles Brown, is that you zooming in? You're like the voice. The voice in the universe started to say the pledge. And we all looked around.
Well, I'm very, very proud to do so.
Wonderful. So before we get started this evening, we have a special proclamation, and I'm thankful for those who came out from the community to share in this moment. So at this time, I'm going to ask the following individuals to step up here in the front: Stefan Maximuk and Kathy Zastowski.
I should have a mic.
yes,
Do we have a handheld? Technology. Come on over here.
Sure.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot. Is it on? Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming out. So we have a proclamation in support of Ukraine dated March 7th, 2022. Whereas on February 24th, 2022, Russia began a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, representing the largest conventional military attack in size, scope, and scale in Europe since World War II. And whereas the invasion has caused significant destruction, injury, and death, displacing vast numbers of Ukrainians. And whereas Rocky Hill is home to many Ukrainian families who have friends and family in Ukraine living in uncertainty. And whereas we have been watching in real time the terrifying events taking place daily against the people of Ukraine. And whereas the spirit, bravery, and resolve of the Ukrainian people and its leaders is a true inspiration. And whereas in times such as this, that we as a people are acutely aware of the need for world peace and appreciate the gift of freedom and the blessings of liberty. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Lisa J. Murata, Mayor of the town of Rocky Hill, offer this proclamation in support of the people of Ukraine in their time of need. And I call upon the Rocky Hill citizens to join in finding ways to support our Ukrainian friends and neighbors in Rocky Hill and those in Ukraine as we stand in solidarity with them. The town of Rocky Hill sends thoughts and prayers for peace, and our community is standing by to offer the Ukrainian National Home support as it focuses its efforts on collecting donations.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to give this
You may want to keep it.
My name is Stefan Maximuk. I'm trustee of St. John the Baptist Ukrainian Catholic Church in downtown Glastonbury, treasurer of the Ukrainian American Youth Association of Hartford, and former vice president of the Ukrainian National Home of Hartford. I'm joined here with Kathy Zastowski, president of the Ukrainian National Home of Hartford, a resident of Rocky Hill. Also our children, Maxim, Andrew, and Kalina. On behalf of the Ukrainian American community in the greater Hartford area, I'd like to thank the Mayor, Lisa Murata, the Rocky Hill Town Council, as well as the citizens of Rocky Hill for their support of the Ukrainian community in our time of need. Right now, as we speak, the Ukrainian National Home of Hartford is collecting necessities for refugees. Many volunteers are working as hard as possible to collect and sort through packages and log all the donations and box them up for shipment tomorrow or on Wednesday. A few words about this unprovoked invasion on our Ukrainian people, our families, our friends, and our communities. In the 21st century, it's not okay for anyone to overtake a sovereign democratic nation, destabilize it, and plunder its beauty and people. I want to bring to your attention to the unspeakable acts of war by Putin and the Russian Federation of the peaceful Ukrainian people. A children's hospital has been bombed, which had an oncology department treating children with cancer. A child was killed, and some others were wounded. Imagine to survive cancer only to be injured or killed by Russian mortars and bombs on children nonetheless. The Russian army is using missiles that, as they fly, drop cluster bombs, hundreds of little grenades, which has been condemned by various human rights organizations and is outlawed by the Geneva Convention because they inflict maximum damage to civilians. They also use vacuum bombs. A vacuum bomb sucks in oxygen from the surrounding air to generate high-temperature explosions and is capable of vaporizing human bodies. This has also been banned by the Geneva Convention. Russia has hit countless civilian sites with missiles, damaging homes, apartments, businesses, hospitals, schools, and parks where people live and children play. Citizens are being indiscriminately targeted. I saw a video on YouTube. They showed the same video on CNN, but it was censored. I can't wipe those uncensored images away from my mind. It was of women and children blown up in Kharkiv. Their bloodied bodies, missing limbs, they were still alive and screamed for help. I don't think those people could have possibly survived a minute longer. Paramedics were running to those who could survive and passed them over. I saw another video of a paramedic trying to resuscitate a child. The mother was bloodied, watching the paramedics do her work. She wasn't hysterical. She was crying. I believe she must have been in shock. The child died. Yesterday, a family of 4 was killed. The family was fleeing Irpin, a suburb of Kyiv. They were being evacuated. What kind of soldier, what kind of civilization bombs evacuees? In Makalivka, a suburb of Kyiv, which has no military equipment, was completely destroyed. A 50-year-old husband survived. 5 members of his family, including his wife and disabled child, were murdered. I heard through a friend who has a family and lives in Kyiv, their mother was consoling her children. When the air raid sirens were blaring, the children asked, "Mother, why did they bomb us?" 2 children and possibly more started their lives being born in bomb shelters, the subway in Kyiv. I got word 6 days ago that people are beginning to feel desperate as food supplies in the home are running out. There's now a full-fledged humanitarian crisis, which didn't exist 12 days ago, and is the biggest ever since World War II. At this point, some 1.5 million refugees have fled in only 12 days through Poland and are in makeshift tent camps. It's winter and cold. Why should Ukrainians be murdered? What did the Ukrainians do to deserve this barbarism that is now being inflicted on them by Putin and the army of the Russian Federations? Are Ukrainians being punished for wanting Western ideals of freedom to pursue happiness, freedom to pursue dreams, and freedom to choose your own destiny? For 28 years, Ukrainians have flourished with their newfound Western ideals that each one of us loves and cherishes. But 12 days ago, that ended. That ended because Putin and the army of the Russian Federation decided to end Ukraine's peaceful existence and plunge the country and its people into chaos, despair, desperation, and unprovoked war. Finally, the state of Connecticut has quite a large Ukrainian population, which numbers somewhere around 20,000 people. The area from Wethersfield, Newington, Rocky Hill, and New Britain has quite a large concentration. Ukraine has a rich history, 1,000-year-old churches which I visited, a beautiful culture. At Easter, we paint Easter eggs called pisanki. We dance. Our cuisines include pierogies and kielbasa and other delicious meals. We sing, we carve, make ceramics, artists paint paintings, and I have several hanging in my home. My son, and all these kids actually, practice Ukrainian dancing in Hartford on Thursday evenings. Our youth groups meet in Hartford on Tuesday evenings to learn about history and culture. And our children go to Ukrainian schools on Saturday in Hartford, New Haven, and Stamford. We, the Ukrainian American community, appreciate the town of Rocky Hill's dedication and commitment to its citizens, which include many Ukrainian families. Thank you for supporting us in our time of need.
Thank you. John, are we moving on to A?
Yes.
Okay.
Presentation,
Yeah.
A.
Okay. Now we would like to do a presentation for Phil Benoit for 32 years of service to the town of Rocky Hill Zoning Board of Appeals. And ask Mr. Benoit to come forward, please. Uh-huh. I can come right over there, but if you'd like to stand up.
Thank you.
How are you?
You want to
My
sit?
pleasure.
Do you want to sit down?
No, I'm tired.
Are
Fine.
you sure? Okay.
Us Rocky Hill people are tough.
All right, you're right. You rock. Okay, so celebrating 32 years of service to the Rocky Hill Zoning Board of Appeals dated February 7th, 2022. Whereas the town of Rocky Hill Council wishes to recognize Phil Benoit for his 32 years of outstanding service and volunteerism to the Rocky Hill Zoning Board of Appeals. And whereas Phil Benoit was appointed as an alternative to the Zoning Board of Appeals in November 1989. And whereas Phil was soon elected as a regular member in November 1991 and served until November 2021. And whereas Phil dependably attended most meetings over the years, seldom missing any. And whereas Phil is known for his attention to detail and regulations in serving as a board member. And whereas Phil was always very professional in his dealings with both fellow board members as well as applicants. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Lisa J. Murata, Mayor of the town of Rocky Hill, hereby recognize Phil Benoit for 32 years of outstanding and dedicated service to the Zoning Board of Appeals and call upon all of our residents and fellow Zoning Board of Appeals members who are here in the background to join me in recognizing Phil for his contributions to the town of Rocky Hill.
Can I say a couple words?
We would love you to accept our gift and say a couple. Congratulations.
Oh, him again?
Yeah, I'll just put it over.
Yeah,
in
put
the
it on a chair. Thank you.
Would you like to stand or go to the podium?
No, I won't. I don't know how long I'm going to stand. I just want to make a couple of notes here. I was on a planning and zoning as an alternate, where I got a little of my education. Then I went to the Zoning Board of Appeals for 36 years. I also was in Park and Rec. I also was on, this is something that no one really realizes, the town charter. I've been on 2 of them. And I consider myself very qualified. Well, maybe not now, I'm getting old. But when I was on there, I learned a lot. And this has been a great town for me. I've been here over 55 years. And if there's any town I want anybody to come to, it'll be Rocky Hill. Thank you. God bless you.
Okay, moving on to presentations, Section 2B, Central Connecticut Health District. And I can see Judy Sartucci, and hi Judy. And we saw Charles Brown a second ago. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you guys. Welcome.
Thank you very much. You should also see Barbara Gilbert, one of our other Rocky Hill representatives, and unfortunately Marty Stiglick, who I'm sure many of you know, the last of the three cannot make it tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Well, welcome, Barbara Gilbert. We only see one person. We don't see all of you like a typical Zoom from back here.
Okay. All right. Can you see my slides now? Are you able to see my slides now?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. So I'll get started so that we can get through this. My name is Charles Brown. I'm the health director for the Central Connecticut Health District. And along with myself and Dr. Pat Chacko, who's our chairman of the board, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for us to come and talk about something other than COVID, though we will sneak a little bit of COVID in. It's been 2 years where it seems like that's taken every second of every time that I've come to talk to the town council. So we wanted to get back to something that we've done, for several years, which is to go through kind of what our programs and services are, who we are as a health agency, and so that people can really understand the breadth of what a public health agency does. Really can be summed up in 3 Ps: prevent, promote, and protect. So general information about Central Connecticut Health District. We're the local health department for the towns of Berlin, Newington, Rocky Hill, and Wethersfield. We serve a combined population of about 97,000 people, and we're just getting done celebrating our 25th year in existence. We were founded in 1996. I have to say thank you to Barbara Gilbert as being one of the people that helped found us.
Thank you.
And we do provide a broad range of public health services to our member towns. General information, we are one of 20 regional public health departments in Connecticut. You can see us right there in the middle in the blue with the number 2. Connecticut is covered by 3 different types of health departments. You have part-time departments, full-time municipal departments, and then regional health districts. As you can see, the majority of Connecticut is actually covered by blue, which are health districts. So we actually have right now 20 health districts and 62 health departments within the state. We are still in our new office. I say new, but we've been there about almost 4 years now in the 2080 Celestine Hideaway there in Rocky Hill. Very happy to be in Rocky Hill. We have 14 full-time employees, including 3 that are COVID grant-funded positions. We have over 50 active professional lay volunteers. Our oversight is provided by a 14-member Board of Health that's made up by board members appointed by the member towns, and this is all based on population, and then myself, the Director of Health. As you can see, Newington has 4 board members based because they have a little bit more population than everyone else. Rocky Hill has 3, and we've introduced all 3 of them. Down to the bottom line a little bit, just to explain kind of the financials and how things work within a health district. We aren't funded solely by one source, so we have a combination of revenue sources. The town does provide $6.60, or did in 2020, 2021. We also get program revenue. This is from flu shots. This is from license fees for licensing restaurants and motels and inspecting pools. Providing flu shots actually provides us some revenue. In addition to that, we also have grants where we get from the federal, state, and others to do things like bioterrorism support, and actually things like complete streets. And we get a little bit of interest income. All told, we're about, probably about $1.5 million in revenue that we're actually bringing in now. Our expenditures, we don't make widgets. The majority of our expenditures really does go to our professional staff. So you see salaries and benefits being the majority of our budget. Our folks are out there every day. They have to go through a high level of training to be able to do the things that they do. So we have to make sure that, we have a good professional staff in place. We have some professional and contractual work, about 32,000. And our operating expenditures, our program and operating expenditures are about 292,000, with about 13,900 with other expenditures. All told, our revenues in the past several years have been above our expenditures. So, we try to keep things as close as we can to make sure that we're operating as efficiently as possible. So a little bit of background on what the difference between healthcare and public health, because sometimes when people hear health, they think white coat and stethoscope, and that's really not exactly what we do. So let's kind of compare and contrast this a little bit. In healthcare, the primary focus really is on the individual, where in public health, we look at populations as a whole as what we're actually taking care of. In healthcare, if they take out an intervention, they would diagnose and treat a particular illness. Or in public health, we use functions like assessment, policy development, and then assurance that those policies are followed to really intervene within the community when there's something that's going wrong. The process for healthcare really looks at management of the patient care, where public health looks more into systems management, looking at the environment and human behavior and how we can actually work within those systems to make a difference within the population. The outcome for healthcare is ultimately returning that individual to a healthy status, where in public health we look to continue to have a healthy community and to make it healthier as we move forward. So the purpose of a public health agency, really wish it was as easy as going to the pharmacy and asking for an ounce of prevention. As I said, we try very much to prevent, promote, and protect the health of the community. And I'll go through several slides to kind of give you an example of how we actually accomplish that. First and foremost, let's address the elephant in the room. COVID-19 has taken up the past 2 years and some weeks. And as of the 4th of March in Rocky Hill, there have had a total number of cases of 3,617. Unfortunately, Rocky Hill has seen 145 fatalities, and we've seen a large number of tests, about 82, a little bit over 82,000 tests that have been accomplished to keep everyone safe. Good news is on vaccinations. Rocky Hill, as well as all of our communities, has done an outstanding job in stepping up and getting that vaccination and the boosters. We see the Rocky Hill seniors at 65 plus at 100% vaccination rate, which is outstanding. As you go down through the age brackets, 94, 91, 85, and then down to that 5 to 11 group, which hasn't had as much time to get vaccinated, still at about a 68%. It's these reasons, the ability for us to actually have high vaccination rates, that we see the number of cases continue to go down. So I encourage all of you, if you have not been vaccinated to this point, please do so. So we've been focusing over the last year on our response activities, has really been focusing on the vaccination of our vulnerable populations within their communities. We've been working with our partners in social services and our senior centers to really vaccinate those adults with functional needs and actually go out in the community with our volunteer nurses and vaccinate the homebound. We do a daily reporting of cases to each one of our member towns and have been doing that for about 2 years now. We conduct contact tracing. Thankfully, we're not as much as what we had to do over the holidays, but we meet every day with volunteer contact tracers from the community that assist us in actually reaching out when people are positive to provide information about quarantine and isolation. Health education, we have a health educator that is actually working to reach out through social media and actually to individuals if they have questions about COVID-19. We've provided a ton of technical support to the schools. We're subject matter experts for the press, for regulated facilities, and residents. We stand ready to answer any questions. And up until here recently, my phone would ring off the hook to be able to answer questions around COVID-19, and we're happy to do so. We provide regional support for other local health departments as they're challenged. We help each other out. And we've also done distribution of personal protective equipment to medical providers and the long-term care facilities in our communities. So other than COVID-19, there's other epidemics and spread of disease that we actually look to prevent. One of the big ones that we do every year is influenza. And here in the past year, we did over 1,300 flu shots through drive-through vaccinations in all 4 of our communities. The average time for vaccinations from the time when they got the paperwork to when they were driving away was about 3 minutes. So we've gotten pretty good. Our volunteers are doing a great job with respect to that, and we still continue to work at it to try to make it as efficient and effective as we possibly can. In addition to that, we follow up with other diseases like hepatitis A, B, and C, salmonella. We do follow-ups and epidemiological investigations for lead poisoning in children. We look at other vaccine-preventable diseases and things like Legionella. Who remembers Triple E and how we thought that was going to be such a really big deal, in the summer of 2020? It was still something that we followed, but the pandemic kind of took it over. We still follow vector-borne diseases from mosquitoes and ticks every year. So we look out for Eastern equine encephalitis, look out for West Nile virus and others, Lyme disease, you name it. We're actually monitoring those diseases and providing information and education on how people can prevent them. CCHD has responded to the opioid crisis. For about 4 years now, we've had a grant through the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and we've been the convener of our local response agency in our towns. We currently have work groups that address prevention, response, and recovery. We've also been awarded an additional 2 years off of our grant to continue working with people who are suffering from addiction and their families. So what we found was during the pandemic especially that these problems definitely did not go away. They actually have been exacerbated by the isolation, and we're actually working with a full-time recovery coach to go out in all of our communities to address getting someone on the path to recovery. Our environmental health folks work, consistently and have worked consistently even throughout the pandemic. Last year, they did 1,242 food service, 15 septic, 85 pool, 46 motel, and 125 salon inspections. They've also responded to 235 complaints. 43 of those were COVID related, but the majority really are housing and property maintenance issues that are the majority of the complaints that we see. Other complaints, include food, rodents and insects, garbage and refuse. We also get some air, water pollution stuff every now and then. And then motels. We get some complaints about people in motels. Other things environmentally, we have our Putting on Airs program, which provides home visits with asthma patients. This is a team approach that highlights triggers in the environment and proper use of medication. Even during the pandemic, this program still continued. They actually utilize technology like FaceTime to do inspections and be able to visit in with the families. And they've still continued to get referrals from children's hospitals, from medical providers throughout the state. We do radon kit distributions every year. We have radon kits available in our office for sale with new homes and people that are looking to determine what the potential for radon exposure is. And we do that lead poisoning prevention. Promoting and encouraging healthy behaviors. As many people know, we have our four-town walking competition that we did in September here last year of 2021. And I can say that Berlin, for the first time since we were holding these competitions, actually did not win. So we had a new town that won. We have to congratulate Newington, who won the overall competition for 2021. Weathersfield won our Impact Award for highest participation. But Rocky Hill, you guys were out there stepping high too. So we're actually getting ready to do this again come in May. Our folks from the towns called us up and said, we need to get out there and walk in. So we're going to get that started in May. So look for more information about registration coming up here soon. And I expect Rocky Hill, with all the complete streets and things that they all are working on, to be out there and competitive. We continue to respond to disasters and assist our communities in recovery. We work for emergency preparedness planning. We use our flu clinics as drills for medical countermeasure dispensing every year. We work with the Newington CERT team and we actually work with other volunteers and emergency managers to set up our flu clinics and everything that we do according to our plans. And we've actually been able to learn quite a bit about how to more efficiently hand out things and actually provide vaccinations just by doing this every year. But in addition to the infectious diseases, we also have a role in flooding and other natural disasters. And we worked with the emergency managers in each one of our towns to be able to provide support in those instances. As we prepare for the future, we look at our administrative and health policies. I'm very proud to say that our board and our staff worked very hard with the regulated communities to revise our sanitary code here in the past year. That was an outstanding amount of work that has been something that we've been working on since I came to the agency, but we actually got it revised and adopted last year. We're looking at the full adoption of the FDA food code coming up here, which will change kind of how we look at restaurant inspections, looking more at high-risk behaviors, less on halls and walls types of things, but actually looking at how people prepare food, how they handle it, and those risky things that people can do that might cause issues for their customers. We're also getting ready to start a community health assessment and improvement planning process that we're going to engage each one of our towns and their leadership in to help us start to set goals for all of our communities as we move forward into the future. With that, I'd like to provide our thanks to our member towns and to you, our public, for your continued support. We really could not do this without you. And with that, I stand ready to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, thank you very much for that comprehensive presentation this evening. And we're just going to wait.
And I do have to.
Go ahead.
I do have to say, I spoke really, really fast for a Southerner.
And you managed to get in a plug for our Complete Streets. Very impressive. So I'm going to wait for the screen to go up, and then we'll open up the floor to and there it goes.
All right, I'm going to stop the share now, and okay. I would invite, Judy or Barbara, if they have something to say as well on behalf of the district, if they could do so now.
Thank you.
Or not, that's fine.
Ladies, do you want to say something? We don't see you, so I don't know if you're trying to come in or not.
Okay.
Hi.
This is Judy Zartucci. Yeah, I just wanted to thank the council again, as we have many times, for the years of support that Rocky Hill has given, not just to our 25 years, but in the very beginning, the formation, because it was Rocky Hill and Wethersfield that came together as the first two towns to form the health district as the Wethersfield Rocky Hill Health District, and then it was changed to the Central Connecticut Health District when Berlin joined a couple years later, and then later in 2006, Newington joined. So we've had some wonderful support from the towns, but we've had especially good support, from the town of Rocky Hill. And as Charlie's outlined, the health district does an incredible amount of work. Public health is everywhere, and that's why it's so difficult to try to really explain sometimes who we are and what we are and how different we are from a hospital or a healthcare system and such on that. So it's a good district. I think we've got good leadership with Charlie. We've got extremely good staff, very talented and very committed. We've got a good board with very good governance and such. And again, we thank you for all your help.
May I say something? This is Barbara Gilbert. I've been on both sides of the health district as a board member and on the town side during creation and during my term as town manager. This is a service the town of Rocky Hill could not provide for its residents without belonging to the district. The costs would be beyond our reach. It is something that we give to our residents, and it's something that as we change demographically, we will need to have going into the future. I sincerely hope that the council has no questions and has no services that don't go answered. If you do, call myself, call Judy, call Marty, call Charlie. If there's anything you need from the district, call us. And it's, as town manager, I used to occasionally stop my feet and say, I'm going to form my own health department and we're going to get out. We can do it cheaper. Well, in reality, I could never come up with it cheaper. So this is a good buy for the taxpayers' dollars. And I'm amazed at what they do.
Thank you.
Very much so.
All right, well, thank you. Is there anyone on the council who has a question? No? Go ahead.
I have two questions. One of them I think is pretty quick. The other one might require some research. The first one is just, Charlie, you mentioned and I'll just give them to you both. The first one is you mentioned the vector-borne illnesses, ticks, mosquitoes. With our more mild winters, is there anything folks should do maybe out of the ordinary when they're thinking about opening up their yards or doing prep in spring? And then my second question, take that one.
Yeah, let me take that one first because I can do that relatively quickly. So the biggest thing to do as you're prepping for your yard, especially with mosquito prevention, is to take away any place where standing water would be. If you can, remove standing water within your property, that does the majority of work for eliminating the breeding ground for all mosquitoes. So that's one thing as you get ready to do the spring. Take a look for upturned garbage cans, for places in the yard where water collects, and really it doesn't have to be a big space. I mean, even the size of a footprint. If water collects there, consistently, that's going to be a breeding space for mosquitoes. So keeping an eye for standing water is probably the biggest thing that you can do to be able to prepare for our mosquito season coming forward.
Thank you. One of the other items probably takes a little bit more research. We've been exploring as a council ways that we can engage mental health, potentially using some of the funds available to us from some of the American Recovery Act or other streams, but really trying to break down, not just in our schools, but in the community, isolation, engagement, addiction, all of these things that we're struggling with that haven't gone away. And one of the challenges that we have is that, a crisis doesn't happen on the 9-to-5 schedule. You mentioned that the health district has a full-time recovery coach, but I think we're trying to figure out, and maybe there's some of the research has been going on our side, but is there a shared model that we could consider through the health district or other ones that you might be aware of that's a best practice where if someone is in a mental health crisis, either our emergency services or somebody else could engage them so situation doesn't get escalated and everybody has the right resources to go home safe?
Yes, and we actually did, since one of the times that I was here recently, we've been working with the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. We identified this lack within our 4 communities of having that overnight support that's so critical. Crisis support really within the towns that we serve really only got you up until about 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Us asking the question actually shined the light on this lack, and they're actually have done a lot of recruitment to be able to try to fill that overnight position with a contractor from the state. So they're still continuing to work on that, and hopefully we'll find have some additional information to provide soon. I thank you for following up that with us. We have worked and continue to work with our social services from all 4 of our towns to really try to identify those types of issues. One thing that I would say as we move forward for each one of our towns is really to look at items that talk about becoming a recovery-friendly community. And there's actually a designation for that provides, almost a checklist for things towns can do to be supportive of those in recovery in their communities. So I would, highly suggest researching into that mode to give you some steps to move forward with.
Thank you.
Yeah. Along similar lines, Charlie, and picking up where Chris left off, so one of the specific things we've been talking about is from a public safety standpoint is having some type of trained mental health professionals who can respond either with or in lieu of the police to certain types of 911 calls, and as Chris alluded to, on a 24/7 basis. And just in the last week or so, I read something about Hartford and some of the nearby towns, not Rocky Hill, but I think East Hartford, West Hartford, a few. It's kind of a regional approach, are putting together something exactly along those lines. And the timing is interesting because it sounded, reading about it sounded like it's exactly what we've been talking about here. So I was wondering if you're familiar with that initiative in Hartford, West Hartford, and any thoughts from your perspective on how Rocky Hill participated in something like that.
I'm not familiar with that particular initiative, but I'll definitely be looking it up tomorrow when I get in the office. It is something that, if we can work regionally, and we do work regionally, a lot of times for emergency preparedness, but with other issues, absolutely something that we can work through the Capital Region Council of Governments or through agreements with our towns within our area. That's initially what we had talked about, was how we, may work with a hospital system or something to be able to provide that type of crisis support. I think more conversation, as I said, Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services are working to contract to provide that type of overnight support. And once they get somebody in place, I think making the connections with the communities is going to be critical, and we can serve a role in that.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. Kind of on a similar vein to Councilor Duff, how do we best protect ourselves when we're outside from the ticks, especially when we're out in the field, farmers and people that have to work outside? How do we protect ourselves?
Long sleeves, light clothing, making sure that, you're covered, especially down in the areas low, about ankle height, shin height. And then, doing a tick check, I think, is one of the biggest and most important things that you can do as you come in to check to make sure that you're not carrying anything inside, checking your animals as they're coming in as well, and using appropriate insecticides where they are appropriate. Tick checks being the biggest thing. If you can get them off of you before they can attach, before they can get a good blood meal off of you, that's the best way to prevent this.
And how long are they, if you do see one on you, how long, when does it get to be that you need to go see a doctor?
Well, you want to make sure if they actually attach, that's when you want to make sure that you get them off of you, as far as off your skin, and be aware of time frames, like when you actually come in from from outside where you're working to the time where you might see it. If it's been on you for 24 hours, everybody, we do actual testing to where we send the ticks off to the agricultural extension station down in New Haven. So if they have to you, off, put it in a bag, that's find out a tick.
Charlie, you're breaking up significantly, so we missed probably 3/4 of what you're saying. And now you're frozen on our screen with no sound. And I didn't ask my questions yet. Come on.
I'll write you.
Okay, there you are.
I'll write it down.
All right, so basically, what about the tick? You took it off, the tick, and depends on how long it's been on your body. And don't you have to have a red ring?
Yeah, then ticks into our office. Call our office if you have a tick, and we can actually.
Okay.
If you kill the video, sometimes that helps.
Sorry for the technical.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so Anything else, Councilor Thoreau? No, okay. Just quickly, when we talk about mental health crises not happening between 9 to 5, right? I just feel like it's a great opportunity to give a tremendous shout out to our Human Services Department, because they are working 24/7 and they are out there responding to families in need, and they are out there with our police department, and they're at every call. And, God bless those women, because they're a small group, but we're getting it done, right? We need help, but we're getting it done. The other thing is, I know that the state is discussing improving access to mental health care, right? That's big on the legislative agenda. And so I'm wondering, are there conversations being had with the Department of Mental Health specific to the mobile crisis units? And does CCHD have a lobbyist up there that's looking to get these things in? And you look frozen, so I hope you hear me. To get those monies in to perhaps your district or into the municipalities? Yeah, it's not working.
We're continuing to work on that.
Okay.
The technical issues are problematic, but we're
Okay. We did hear that you're working on it, so we're gonna go with that.
The answer is yes.
And the answer is yes. All right. So we're going to go ahead and thank you all, the three of you, for coming out this evening, and we appreciate the presentation. We'll follow up.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, so we're going to move on to public comment. This portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public, who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment but cannot attend the meeting should email their written comment to publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov. And do we have anyone who would like to be heard in the public? Yay, we do.
Good evening. I didn't see my topic.
Name and address for the record.
Oh, Tony Palazzolo, George Road, Rocky Hill, Connecticut 06067-3509. I didn't see my topic on the agenda for tonight. However, Scuttlebutt has it, and I'm going to proceed with it because last time when I had the Ames apartment complex, I went to speak, and I thought that what they had revised, what they presented before the public talked, was a revision, and I wasn't fast enough to really know what was really going on, that it was only moved a foot back from Main Street. But anyway, so tonight I'm going to read it, let the chips fall, and if the shoe fits, wear it. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of Rocky Hill Council. I am here tonight as I understand that the mayor has stated that you will not be renewing the contract of our town manager. Now, I am sure you think you have a reason for this, but is it the whole picture? This is very important. You see, starting with your former Republican administration, much has transpired, which John has had to and is still dealing with silently. Sometimes people in positions inherit problems that cannot and will not be discussed openly, not even in an executive session because of its classification. Read a hint. I can tell you that some of our workers and citizens have created a work log beyond a normal manager's job. Yet, through the troubled waters, John calmly oversaw the day-to-day activities without complaining, angering, or drawing attention. His 23 years speaks for itself. It takes somebody with experience to handle this. You can be sure that those involved are not going to come forth to admit any wrongdoing, and I am not talking just one group. I'm talking several. You can be sure, as an outgrowth of unlawful activities, we had a group who righteously became self-appointed defenders. For those who followed or were closely involved, they could have witnessed accusing letters, name-calling, lies, continuous harassment, and bullying of people. Not very nice. If you wish to see a small snippet of this, view the early Marata Senior Liaison meetings where one member who entered got up out of order and accused me of something at the meeting that occurred while I was in the hospital. Whatever. No correction was made by your chair. Also overheard was an improper comment made by an employee during this event. I credit this to not being familiar with the rules of order and or missing the context of what was occurring. And that would be very easy to do, by the way. During these occurrences, John remained in control at all times, even though others were feeling super confident. It was not his role, but the chair's role to make corrections. Moving on to John's skills as manager. His results speak for themselves. He has held the town together following the last wind that went through Town Hall under the guise of improvement. Any fungible monies were moved along with some funds, such as required monies for mandated out-of-town placements that were collected. John picked up the pieces and managed to maintain our AA+ bond rating. Shouldn't we be thanking him instead of letting him go, Madam Mayor? You need to think hard and long before you make this move. Are you prepared with updates to your requirements? What is your projected turnaround time for reviewing applications, the interviews, making sure that the next hire has the required training, particularly for specifics such as Rocky Hill and Connecticut laws? I know these exist as our daughter did an internship in the New York Assembly. My final comment is don't be sheep. I say that because you are a 6-3 vote on this council, which means you carry whatever you want. That's the way it is. Prior to your current Republican group, we watched a whole Republican session of 5-4, 5-4, 5-4. It went on for months. If you believe in a good worker with ethics, which should be your first priority, then vote your conscience. If not, then be prepared to find out what John has held together that you are dumping in your own lap before things close. There may be a reason that he needs more time. Please don't vote another mess. This will be your reputation going forward. It will not be unnoticed. Wake up, Rocky Hill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Palazzola. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard tonight? Okay. All right, seeing none, we are going to move on to appointments and resignations. Councilor Duff.
Yeah, we do have one appointment to Local Housing Authority. This was one that the committee needed more time to review applications when we made our initial round of appointments, and it would be David Thoreau for the term beginning January 1, 2022.
Okay, so noted. We will appoint Mr. Thoreau.
Chris, that's a Democratic person. That's not the member that lives in the housing authority.
That's correct. Yeah, that
So
person
it is a
does not
Democrat.
live at the housing authority.
Is he replacing somebody?
Yeah, it was term was previously held by Doris.
Okay. So it was David Thoreau?
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome Mr. Thoreau to housing. Deputy Mayor?
We have no appointments or resignations. And before we move on, I'd like to make a quick motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
Under new business, we would like to add item B, the Rocky Hill Housing Authority grant opportunity.
Second.
No, it is. It's on there.
Is it?
It's the small cities grant.
Well, there you go, magic. See that? we got it ready for you.
If you want to move it up in the schedule.
No. I withdraw the.
Okay.
No, yeah, we didn't have a lot of room.
They are
So.
here, maybe we should try to move it up because they've been sitting here and perhaps they would like to.
Well,
We could do that.
sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so why don't you make a motion to move them
Motion
up?
to move the item A under new business, authorization to apply small cities CDBG grant up to after the approval of the minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so at this time, we are going to call you up. Mr. Goldberg, are you coming up to speak?
Actually, doing the minutes first.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of February 7th, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Just briefly, Ken and Sue came, excuse me, to the, met with myself and Ray Carpentino, expressing a need to do some improvements at Willow Railroad Road apartments, and wanting to go for a small cities grant that we've done 2 of them in the past 10 years, I say, and so on. But to get the ball rolling, the town needs to approve to go for that grant. So they're here today to explain why they need the grant and what repairs and maintenance they need to do at the Housing Authority.
And may I just
Go ahead.
preface this? And does this go through finance after this presentation?
No, pretty
Okay.
much now it's be filling out numerous paperwork for the grant. You'll be getting some updates on some Title IXs and some whatever affirmative action and a number of things at the next meeting.
Okay.
And so on, but
I see.
it's pretty much,
So this is an explanation.
yeah,
Gotcha.
and seeking approval.
Welcome.
Good evening. Ken Goldberg, Chairman of Rocky Hill Housing Authority. I have Michelle as the Vice Chairman. Susan is the Executive Director, and Tino is a Commission member. We're here before the Council to get the approval for the Community Development Block Grant. At the present time, the facility that was built in 1977 is getting old and worn. And believe it or not, I was appointed to the Housing Authority in 1978. So that makes me old, but not that old. I've been there at least 44 years. So, and I've seen things happen and the place deteriorate. We then got the School Street complex that was built in 1988, which is 30 units, and we received a grant to repair a lot of that facility. But as the Willow Road facility has deteriorated, and as you can see, that was passed out to you, that we need a lot of work to be done. The electrical outlets, the floors, the roofs, we replaced 2 of the roofs, and we got 7 more to do. The windows are old, and there's a lot of ventilation issues. Replacement of closet doors, the alarm panel that is having problems, and we are getting false alarms, the bathtubs, the sidewalks, the driveway, the parking spaces, and upgrading the camera system. So we're here to ask that the council approve the Community Development Block Grant for the Rocky Hill Housing Authority.
Is it a matching grant? So do we have to put in funding?
No.
Okay.
No, the grant, all the Housing Authority has to do is hire a architect, which comes out of our budget.
Okay.
And we have to look at this because right now the percentage that is costed the tenants there is 30% of their net income. So we look at this because we're having people not paying their rents, and we're having issues with what we bring in as funding. So we have to go out for grants. And part of that is the community development block grants. The Housing Authority is presently looking at increasing that percentage from 30%, and right now the state is authorizing us to go up to 33%. We don't want to do that, but if we have to, because of the cost factors involved into repairs of the complex, then we have to review that, which we will then have a public hearing of all the tenants to review of increasing that percentage. So basically, it's the grant that we looked at. It's presently out there, and you have a letter from the state Department of Housing and Connecticut Housing Finance that are more or less supporting this because this is desperately needed by the Willow Road complex.
And so essentially, they're looking for us to support it, and then that sort of brings you up on your application process,
Right.
like your hierarchy. Yeah.
As you can see also by the pictures that were given to you in your packet, these aren't just minor cosmetic issues within each apartment. I mean, some of these, the closet doors, which are those accordion type, they're literally falling apart. You know, and we do have some, you know, older people that can't even get into a tub. So we need to really move those bathrooms, update them to even make sure all of our units are ADA compliant, regardless. So it's not like, you know, like I said, it's not cosmetic issues. It's not, oh, well, we want to do this. It's gotten to the point where the Housing Authority has to do this. You know, we can't wait any longer. We really need the town's assistance with getting this grant. So any help that you guys can do would be hugely appreciated by everybody on the commission. So, and so do you want to bring up the match?
No, I was just gonna confirm, you're applying for the grant, and you just basically need us to sign off on it. In order to get this particular grant, you need the town to sign off on it.
Approve it, correct, yes.
We need sponsorship
Right.
from the municipality.
Yep.
And
But-
then
but
we
a-
go out.
Along with that, is it our Economic Development Director, Ray Carpentino, so he has an extensive amount of paperwork to do, because I remember that's where you got the last grant years ago, right? So it's, I'm just saying from our perspective, Councilor Thoreau, what is our obligation if we were to sign off on it? It's just that Ray has all
Right,
of
no,
that,
that's what I just wanted to confirm,
Yeah.
that's all we need, is that we're just, they
Yeah,
need
but-
us to sign off on it, basically.
Well, there's also going to be public hearings, as well as updating a number of our ordinance, our Title VIs and so on, and paperwork and so on, and he'll have to provide information as well. So it's quite a package that we send down to small cities, and then
Right, we then
and
have
if they
to
get
hire an
approved from it,
architect,
then it's another.
Correct. That is paid by the Housing Authority for the architect
Yeah.
and the consultant. The consultant comes out of the grant money. So so most of it is all paid through the grant of the consultant and the construction work.
And they have to go out to bid.
Yes.
like
Yes, everything has
else.
to go out to bid.
Yeah.
And you handle that? You handle that, not Ray? Going out to bid, all that
Yeah,
stuff?
probably,
Mona's gonna,
Mona will
Mona
be
would be
blessed with this
responsible.
one.
I see.
and so on, but working with them, working with the consultant, like,
So that begs the question as to what is the timetable to turn this around and get all this,
Well, we're behind the 8 ball right now. The money is there. We're told that the money is there. And this possibly should have been done 3 months ago to get the grant or the approval in, because we're against other housing authorities that are out there also. So the sooner we get our approval through and our application in, we then go up to the top of the list.
so is there a closing date, deadline date? That's what I was
believe
really
there
wondering.
is.
Yeah, at this point, Ray and I signed up for a community development block grant workshop. We're attending on March 15th, where we'll get all the rest of the information, but it's usually you have to get, this won't be happening this year. The insurmountable amount of paperwork that Ray and I have to complete, and you guys, thank you very much. So that we can get it in for this year. We'll be receiving the funds next year. It won't happen all in, you know. So last year's cutoff, I believe, was December 2nd.
So as long as we have this pay work done by this December 2nd, you're in the running for next year's money?
I believe in May is when the application is due.
May, and the letter from the state, from Penny Fisher, your asset manager,
Yes.
is she saying in this letter that there is additional funding available if you do this step and get qualified?
Because there's so many non-compliance with the ADA, I mean, we're grandfathered in, obviously, and we have 4 units that are total ADA that we've, totally demoed and put back together, in the parking areas, that I've had multiple Zoom meetings with DOH and Department of Housing and CHAF at this point, and they said if we could possibly get this funding, they were willing I didn't get a letter of commitment, but I got somewhat of a commitment in that letter and verbal commitments from both DOH and CHAFA that they will match us funds as well.
So we need a motion tonight to authorize?
Oh, I'd like to get a recommendation from John. John, do you want to comment?
Yeah, we need the answer.
Or Mona?
I believe the council should authorize us to pursue it for them, to get the money for them to upgrade the Willow Street Burke. Plus, if you get this money, you might be able to get some additional funding from those other organizations. So I know it's a lot of paperwork and so on, but I think it's a wise decision to move forward to upgrade those facilities for our seniors that are living in town there.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, I'd be willing to make a motion to, that the town of Rocky Hill sponsor the Small Cities CDBG grant application process for the Housing Authority.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to note, we've been talking a lot about this grant, but, and we get grants brought to us all the time, which is usually, a very exciting process. This grant has a signature of about, looks like over 20, 25 residents, with some comments, needed, much needed, please help, much needed, much needed roof, a lot of improvement needed. We're hearing about some original things from 1977. So I'm just wondering, and this may not be something it fits within the context of the motion, but if we have a maintenance plan, that would be developed to get a little more proactively addressing these things. Hopefully that'll be coming as part of, I don't know if we can fund that
So,
through.
Chris, they would have a maintenance program. It's not a town asset.
Right. I don't know if the town can assist in that, or if it's just something we can recommend that the Housing Authority do. But I think a maintenance plan moving forward to help get in front of some of these things so it doesn't take as long, would be helpful. There's certainly a big need here, and it sounds like next year is probably the earliest that we're going to be able to get it met.
So,
Well, that there, to your point, Chris, I think you're absolutely right. But I think in the past that there were, you sort of rely on this funding becoming available, and I think you did put roofs on, but you didn't do every complex. And so I think, to your defense, you chip away at it as funding becomes available.
Well, we would put in, we would put in our request of how much money we would do. We would have to fill out the application and say what we're going to do and use the money for. Now, if we get $900,000 for everything we want, then we get everything done. If they only want to give us $500,000, then we have to prioritize what we are going to do with that money too. The whole idea here is not to rely, the housing authority is a public subsidy of the state, meaning that it's an own entity by its own. So we don't come to the town to ask for money. We usually go out for grants to redo the repair or rely on the money from the rents.
sure, and I was only commenting to Councilor Duff in that I've met your maintenance person, and I know that he runs from job to job, so I know that you work on the best you can, the maintenance.
Yes.
That's why we have to look at, we were originally at 20% of the net income. We went up to 25, and now we're up to 30. And the state's pushing us to go up to 33%, and we're holding back once we have our public hearing and review what our cost factors are going to be.
What's your delinquency rate? How many people are able to afford to pay?
It's like Ken denoted, it's 30% of their income right now. We have people that are grandfathered in that have been living at the Housing Authority just as long as Ken's been a chairperson at the Housing Authority. So they were at the lowest base rent, which is $200. So we got a good amount of people that are only paying $200, and then it's contingent upon their either pension or Social Security. We got people paying up to $600 or $700. Unfortunately, when COVID hit and people got the idea that they didn't have to pay, I have more applications with Unite CT than you can imagine, and they just closed the program now. So I was just assigned a caseworker, and we're talking months of non-payment. And then you throw in all the overhead. It's got 40 units. And again, if you have 10 that are paying 200, 225, and then a couple here and there, 300, 400. I'm proud to say, working with the board, we pay our bills on time. You know, in doing the budget, the state requires us to put in away $350 per apartment in a contingency fund each year. So we're supposed to put, you know, close to $25,000 and just keep it there, just for the rainy day fund or if something catastrophic happens. Unfortunately, after doing the budget, we only have about $6,000 that we're able to put away this year. We're still making it, and that's why it's just one maintenance person and one executive director right now running around like a rock star. But we love what we do, and the people make it worth, you know, everything to us. So.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
And good luck to Ryan, Mona.
Subcommittee reports.
Okay, we're on Subcommittee Reports A, Finance.
Finance meeting, we did meet. We received our auditor's report. Very happy to say that we had an unmodified opinion. It's the highest opinion the town can receive, not only on our financials, but as well as the federal single audit, the state single audit, and there were no findings over our internal controls. On the consent agenda this evening is the award of the Center Cemetery Maintenance and Lawn Service. We had one bidder, Central Connecticut Services of East Hampton. The amount of the bid was $19,800 on the grand list. Our grand list growth is mostly in the area of motor vehicles, as the value of used cars have gone up considerably. The motor vehicle portion of our grand list was up $43 million. Our real estate portion was up $5 million, and personal property was down $4.6 million. So just for an idea of what we'll be discussing during the budget workshops, which were put down on our sheet. We also completed our bond refunding, and we will have a $1.1 million savings over the next 12 years. And that concludes finance. Our next meeting is this Thursday, the 10th, at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Government Operations.
Yes, Government Operations met earlier this evening. Just a few quick updates. Regards to Community Senior Center, there's a couple of items that have just been addressed. The recessed lighting fixture issue has been addressed and completed. Coffee bar sink has been installed, and the multi-purpose room flooring has had issues with scratching, and so I guess it's from the manufacturer, but the flooring is being replaced at no cost to the town. So they will do all the works on evenings or Saturdays as well, so there should be a little disruption to people using the room. The Town Hall Police Station HVAC project, all the controllers have been replaced, and I'm sorry, the controls have been replaced at the Town Hall, and they're continuing to work on the Rocky Hill Police Department building as we speak. They hope to be done by the end of this week. There's a couple of small projects. They're ordering new windows for the Channel 14 building. There's some movement of sergeant staff to where the physical service area used to be in order to accommodate more female officers and things of that nature. And Phil Sear had some more possibilities for use of ARP funding for Firehouse 3 and some HVAC projects. So that's something to make. I don't know if it'll come up tonight or in a subsequent meeting. So on the school buildings, Stevens School HVAC system is still in the design phase. That probably will be done during a summer, whether it be this summer or summer 2023 remains to be seen, depending on when design gets done and goes to bid and those sorts of things. GMS roof, they just completed the design phase, and they're preparing to file for state grant money for reimbursement for that project. And there's some design work going on for the GMS science labs and in order to get some bids to determine what costs would be if they go through with that project. On the Elmridge Park grant, they have hired a landscape architect to come up with some renovation ideas, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So our next meeting is April 4th.
Thank you. Turning to public safety.
No meeting. Our next meeting is March 21st at 5:30.
Okay. Senior liaison.
Before I do, I failed to flip the page on the finance. I have a couple more items there. The town did receive the town aid funds for $173,000. We got the second portion of our ECS funds for $1.35 million, and revenue and expenditures were in line with budgeted numbers. So that concludes the finance piece. Senior liaison did meet this Wednesday, the 9th, 3 to 5. The senior game room is opening, and that sounds fairly exciting with a pool table, I think a foosball table, and a couple of other events or items in there. Nice to note now that the senior center's been open, it seems like our programs are doing very well. Attendance has been strong at a lot of the programs that have been approved. Our lunch program has been doing extremely well, averaging over 40 participants per day. So that number's way up. There are 800-plus registered Rocky Hill seniors. Registration for seniors in town is free to residents. We do charge for, I think it's a $20 fee for non-residents who wish to be a member. Our next meeting is March 28th at 5 p.m.
Thank you. Land acquisition and farmland preservation.
Sure. We did meet on February 24th, and at that meeting, we were able to have a presentation by the, and it is on Zoom, a slide presentation by the Yukon a planning group that's helping us map out and plan out the development of the non-farmer used portion of the Straska farm, so that portion that includes the house and up by New Britain, parallel to New Britain Avenue. So we're getting help with the planners to look at after the home is removed and the arsenic situation has been mitigated, and some land leveling is taken place through the state grant. The planners are mapping out where the community gardens will be, where the barn might go, the educational barn, where the parking might go, where the trails, the walking trail might go. So they're busy working, and they made a nice presentation. And I encourage everybody to go back and look at that February 24th meeting to see the exhibits that are up on, to give yourself an idea of what's going on and what's being planned for the future. And Chris, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I think that's about right. And other than I guess we'll be taking input from some point from folks, the public, for the different potential uses of the site that could be incorporated by the consultants are including in their design plan.
Sure. Yep. That did come up in to the committee, and so that we'll be notifying the general public, but also Chris, subsequently, some local contractors in town have voiced an opinion to say help out. So there may be, and I've was able to have a quick conference call with John Mayer and Ray Carpentino. So we'll keep everybody posted as that may or may not develop. Our next meeting is March 22nd at 5:30 p.m.
And there's another thing, the name. Were we going to do it? Is that something we're talking about the naming committee, or taking applications, or is that later?
Yeah. So we announced at the last meeting. So we have the naming of the barn once we own it, and there's application in for naming that barn, and then a potential to rename the farm itself, the farmland, and we're taking applications through May.
Well, we're getting a lot of requests for renaming the farm.
The farm.
What it's currently being called to another name. So we were discussing maybe extending the invitations out for a couple more months, and then recommendations for a couple more months, and then maybe at the May committee meeting, we go through some of the names, and then if we find some that we'd like, then you bring it to the town council, and then the mayor would form a naming committee to move forward with it.
Sure, there was some confusion. Is there a naming committee
Yeah, we have a naming committee already, don't we?
that reviews these?
No, if you read the, I think we had one last time, but we don't have one currently.
It's ad hoc.
And usually it's appointed by the mayor.
No, in other words, not a specific naming committee, but is there a general town naming committee where any suggestion, so there's a general form, so somebody could call up to rename a park bench. Wouldn't that go to a naming committee? A standing naming committee? No.
Generally, it's blessed, sent to
There's
the
no
town.
standing naming committee, it's always ad hoc for a particular purpose.
It's
Okay.
usually sent to the town manager and brought
Okay.
to the mayor, and then the mayor could form the committee based on what the charter requires.
We appointed three, I thought there's people appointed to that already.
That was for the barn specifically, though, I think, right?
Well, there was
No, I
a
mean,
naming
for-
committee last year, or last term, but I don't think there's one in place now.
That's where the confusion is there was a committee now for several years waiting for that barn to arrive, but we thought that was a general committee, taking any and all names for any and all possible
Well,
naming.
that committee can take the names and then bring it to the mayor, if you'd like that, but I think when you read the charter.
Just wondering what the,
Well,
if there is one or isn't one, so, okay.
If folks have idea for names, I mean, we'll figure out the committee part, I guess, but if people out in the public have idea for names, they
Submit them to
Submit
town manager.
to the town manager.
All right, exciting stuff. Liaison to state rep and state senator.
Sure. I did get an email on February 15th from Representative Wood, and she highlights the fact that the state troopers ran a speed enforcement initiative between February 9th and the 14th. So it was quite productive. As we all know, we're still experiencing reckless racing. It's not just speeding on our quarter of 91, and we still have many calls to 91. Actually, we had quite a few this past weekend. In any event, a lot of the accidents caused by racing, and this speed enforcement initiative turned up in 4 days 359 speeding tickets. This is Troop H that does our section of the highway. 359 speeding stops in 4 days. That's amazing. I mean, that's scary. In any event, that is the report from the state rep.
Thank you. School liaison,
No meeting, no report, Madam Mayor.
capital improvements committee,
Our last meeting was postponed. Our next meeting is March 23rd.
and economic development subcommittee.
We did meet last Friday. We approved the last 8 grants that were in the queue for small businesses. As of that meeting, there were no additional grants pending. We still have approximately $150,000 left in that fund. The committee will recommend under Old Business A, the ARP plan, that we continue this through the end of the month, and then the committee will meet again on the 8th of April to approve any additional applications that come in. If we don't get any additional applications, we've asked Ray Carpentino to come up with a plan for use of those funds, some kind of collaborative marketing for the town in general, geared towards our small businesses. So that would be the recommendation under Old Business. Our next meeting is, as I said, April 8th.
And we've had positive feedback. I don't know, Mimi, I think you knew some businesses in town that were looking for the assistance. I certainly did, and I mean, I know they were, thrilled to get it.
Yeah, like I said, we had 8 and we approved all 8.
So,
Okay. Perfect. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, the award bid for the Center Cemetery Maintenance Lawn Services.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to old business discussion, possible action, ARP funding options.
So I'll make a motion to extend the small business grant program through the end of March. using the existing funds that have already been allocated.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Counselor Levine, did you want to speak about Phil Sears' recommendations?
I mean, we don't have any specific numbers,
Okay.
John, unless you do.
No, we don't have really any numbers. He just came up with that idea of using the funds to fix the HVAC system at
It's more conceptual. These were projects that they had on their CIP kind of laundry list of things, so hoping maybe to use some of the funds, to do that, but we don't have any numbers to go off of yet.
Okay. Anything further?
It'd just be helpful to get that if we think we can get it taken care of, as we have our list of things that are going to be coming up to review for the budget. It'd be good to know if that's in or out, if we have a timeline for that. I'm sure they want to get it done as quick as they can.
Okay, and where are we with the human services 2 part-time jobs?
They've been advertised, but there hasn't been much of a response to the advertisement as of right now.
Okay.
And I know I asked Charlie a couple of weeks ago, and they said it took them a while to hire a recovery specialist or something, some title like that. So I think there's a large market for those people, especially at the state level, because I hear large numbers of people they need to hire as well.
And did we have some discussion about allocating ARP funding last time? And where did we stop with that? Were we waiting for some cost analysis or something, or?
We did allocate money for a counselor for human resources to go out from police dispatch. So we did allocate money at one point, maybe 3 meetings ago.
No, I think that was going to be discussed at the public safety meeting, the last public safety meeting that was postponed.
So we should have that on the agenda at public safety?
Right.
Okay.
To have the police chief get his input as well.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, I had a question on the ARP funding options. Can the infrastructure in the Streska farm development qualify, Mona? Parking lots?
Actually, yes, now that they've changed the definition, it's basically any project that you would ordinarily fund through your general fund. So yes, if you would think that would be something you would put through your general fund, so it would.
That would have to be above and beyond the grant, though, right?
Correct, yes.
Well, the grant is just for the barn. And the $800,000 grant is for removing the house, remediating arsenic, and doing some leveling. But the drive network, the parking lot, maybe even the foundation or the slab that the barn must go on, I don't know if that's included in the grant, but now that we know this, we will ask.
You develop some numbers and time frame to fit in that 2024 end date.
Cool.
There's also irrigation issues that need to be
the end date of
down
it,
with
right?
that.
Yes, it was brought up. Yeah, there is no formal irrigation out there for the farmers, so I'm not really sure how they're watering their fields now, but even the community garden, you'd have to bring your own in at this point.
I think there's some idea that we could work with MDC as well for that.
Yep.
I think one of the uses we might want to look at is sort of updating our transfer station. I don't know if that's a possible use of ARP funding, but I think it would really help the residents to have a little bit of a more concise plan when you're going out to the transfer station. And it needs to just be updated anyway, and we could perhaps look at things such as the composting bin bill that we had talked about in meetings. So, maybe it might be worthwhile to have some type of presentation on that. Particularly as we have to relearn how to recycle, apparently. All right.
Yeah, and I guess speaking of that, perhaps since the potential range of options has opened up, I don't know if our recycling coordinator has looked at things from that approach, but maybe she's got some recommendations on some impactful use of that fund as well.
Okay. And anything else? All right. Moving on then. So we are at Mayor's Report. I have a very, very quick Mayor's Report. So, as you know, House Bill 5213 was before the Connecticut lawmakers. I had an opportunity to testify last week in support of it, hoping that we can get our volunteer fire department a little bit of money for each time that they go up on the highway. So we'll see what happens with that. The U-Rock Awards nominations are being taken, so you can download that form through social media. I'm going to try to make sure it's up on the website tomorrow. I want to give a shout out to all of our travel basketball teams because they've been doing exceptionally well lately and making it to the semifinals. Some are going to the championships. The girls are going to the championships. I know a number of grades. Not so sure about the boys, but they're doing a great job, and we are tremendously proud of those kiddos. Let's see what else. So, as we start talking about trash, it's such a complex issue, right? And so the past almost a year and a half, we've been part of a coalition with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and trying to explore different ways to reduce our waste and increase what we're recycling and potentially take a look at diverting organic food scraps. It seems like there are a number of wonderful ideas out there, but almost that they were presented prematurely. In that there are not a lot of facilities around or operations that can necessarily perform the tasks that we need them to perform. There is a new facility, I'm not sure if it's in Berlin, and they invested $300,000 in a piece of equipment to help with separating. And but again, we're just at the very beginning stages, and I know that we're in phase 2 of our grant to potentially roll out some type of pilot program. But in discussions, and we've had a number of them with staff and with our waste and energy consultant, Pam Roach, I'm not sure if we're ready to move forward until the state sort of has a better idea of what happens after you roll out some type of pilot program, right? Because it's a lot of work. Rarely are they sort of accepted on a friendly basis. It's a lot of retraining and habits, and we want it to be something that folks really want to get behind. We don't want to force people into some new approach for trash and recycling, but we're committed to looking at ways. But I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Councilor O'Sullivan, but we're looking.
Yeah, I agree that it all seemed to come up on us very, very quickly. I know it's been a process, as you described, but now we have this greater sense of urgency with Mira being shut down, and we have this imperative now to come up with new ways to reduce trash volume. So that was the major focus, is trying to segregate out food waste, but there's a lot of moving parts to that, as the mayor just indicated. And there's logistical issues. There's going to be a lot of behavior modification, so to speak, for people at the kitchen counter level. So there's a lot of education, a lot of technology that is still in process and needs to be rolled out. So there's an awful lot at stake. But in the meantime, though, we're going to be hit between the eyes with these higher tipping fees coming up. So. That may be kind of the kick in the pants that everybody needs to get behind this.
Agreed. Okay, and that concludes my mayor's report. We'll move on to town manager's report.
Okay, I like to continue doing some trash talking myself. More on our current situation. as far as what the town's going to do with its trash it collects on a weekly basis, for years we've been taking it to Murrah, and Murrah is going downhill. I'll just leave it at going downhill, I think. We did, the town of Rocky Hill and Newington and Weathersfield went out to see if there's other options available to the towns, and we did find out that there were a number of places out there, and we found two good ones that are located near us. And so at the Finance Committee that Alan mentioned this week, we'll be reviewing some of the bids that we received, as the Tri-Town group received, and the recommendation from the staffs that they're bringing to their town councils right now to decide sometime this month. We have to do it before the 31st because Murrah sent out their fees to the mayor last week, so we have 30 days to decide where we're going to take our trash. But we did get some bids that are lower than Murrah, and they can even extend out 4 years and so on. So it just seems like the private sector has some ideas on what they're going to do with their trash. Granted, they're probably going to be shipped out, but out of state, but for a lower cost than what Murrah is offering. So we'll have that discussion on Thursday, and then hopefully have a recommendation for the council at the 21st meeting. And by doing that, if we do switch, we have to notify Murrah that we're doing that, as well as Deep. And of course, we have to get Deep's permission that it's okay to do what we decided to do. So that's the end of my trash talk. As of March 1st, when the town's not requiring masks to be worn in town buildings, even though it's recommended, the only place that we are requiring masks be worn is when people are in transit and buses and so on. So that's the only place that they really have to wear masks. But again, it's always recommended that people wear masks if they're dealing with the public, the employees, and so on. And I think that's about that. And just the last 14-day tracker that came out by the governor or the Department of Public Health at Rocky Hill at 6 per 100,000. So we dropped down from the mid 100s down to 6, and I think we're the lowest of the 4 towns in the area. Also met on a recommendation from Newington, who hired a grants writer that helped them get a number of grants especially for the fire department. Weathersfield town manager, myself, and Ray met with Newington and the grants writer to see if they'd be interested in working with Rocky Hill as well as with the Tri-Towns, so that we have an opportunity to go out for grant money as 3 towns. But also, we're going to be meeting, Ray and I are going to be meeting with them to see if they can help us with some of our grants, like the one that you heard about earlier, hopefully, and so on, and other grants that they may know of that may not be associated with a state agency or anything, maybe from other independent or foundation-type places. So most likely that's going to be put on the budget, and it's generally a $2,000 a month charge. There was a handout put at your desk relating to the upcoming budget schedule. I think we gave preliminary ideas out earlier, but probably at the next meeting something should be adopted. I don't know whether some of the dates are bad or good bad for some people, good for everybody else, but at least something should get adopted, and then we can always adjust going down there. And basically, after you receive your budget book, you'll have a number of weeks to review it and enjoy it, and then the budget workshop will start most likely after school vacation. So we'll probably put this in the pack unless anyone wants to make any changes now.
I just wanted
hold
to
your peace.
Actually, I was going to propose if we can move like the Tuesday, Wednesdays to like more like Thursdays or Mondays. So the only problem, I will tell you exact dates where I have issues, is the May 3rd and the May 4th. That's it.
Okay, so right now, just the May 3rd is the only scheduled one. The other one is just a open date, just a reserved date if needed.
That's what I thought.
So it'd be just coordinating when the Board of Ed can bring their entourage over. So it'll probably work. Is Thursdays?
Thursday is good, John.
Thursdays.
And we vetted these dates against other meetings that are going. I know Farmland, for example, has been meeting on Thursday. Okay.
Yep. That's towards the end of the month. Daniel did that, right?
Yes, I did.
Good. Okay, so we're at, let's see, okay. Mona has an update for everybody on NIPS.
Oh, I get to talk trash.
No, NIPS.
Well, it is trash. It's recycling. So yes, I was very fortunate that I had an email today regarding our NIPS. So it's actually happening. They wanted to be sure that we had a proper address so they can mail our check. So we've been talking about it for a while. So by the first week of April, they're expecting that we should get our first payment, and that's for the 6 months. And then once they start that, it's going to be the 6 months following. So they're doing, this was the wine spirits wholesalers, and they're doing it as the entire wholesale trade, and that's for the entire town. So I have no idea how much we should be expecting, but I'll promise I will report it as soon as I know. So.
That's awesome. I think initially, did they anticipate it would be maybe 20,000 a year, and so potentially it could be high. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of NIPS were being purchased in the past in Rocky Hill. So
yes, they were.
May be able to fund that parking lot, right? And then to wrap up the town manager's report, our facilities department put together a video, and we'd like to show it now.
Hello, my name is Phil Sear, the Facilities Director for the Town of Rocky Hill. This presentation is more to explain the facilities and custodial department's daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly operations. The Facilities Department consists of two divisions, Facilities and Custodial Services. Full-time staff consist of a director, HVAC mechanic, an electrical mechanic, head custodian, 5 full-time custodians, and 3 part-time positions, which currently only 2 positions are filled. The Custodial Service Division is responsible for cleaning and disinfecting town buildings, which includes but not limited to Town Hall, Senior/Community Center, Library, Police Department, Human Services Kennedy House, Parks Garage, Highway Garage, Ferry Landing bathrooms. In this upcoming budget, we will be adding 3 firehouses as well. Custodial services include assisting the facilities department with a number of light maintenance repairs and some project work which takes away from their own work but is needed to help fill the need of the facilities department being short-staffed. Custodial tasks are the stocking supplies of on and off campus buildings. Interior, exterior windows now being done internally at a savings of $3,000 a year. Trash pickups, recycling pickups, daily cleaning including COVID wipe downs and disinfectant spraying, which in the past was only done during flu season, is now done daily year-round of desks, counters, walls, doors, bathrooms, fountains, and railings of their touch points. They clean offices, staircases, lobbies, hallways, and activity and conference rooms. Washing, stripping, waxing of floors as needed, carpet care, and of course, excited about snow removal with the new machine. They do daily pickup and deliveries such as mail, copier paper, courier duties for council and committee meeting packets. Gym floor maintenance, monthly checks of fire extinguishers. They assist with the luncheon program for the seniors. They assist with the support human services requesting for pickup and delivery of donated food through the food shelter. They work closely with directors, staff on special request setups for programs and events, coordinating with Town Hall, Parks and Recreation, Senior Center, and the Board of Education, setting up staffing and corresponding with their nightly events. They also attend the necessary safety training such as asbestos awareness training, bloodborne pathogen, material safety data, Kerma and Alice training, and of course attending the custodial meetings with me for words of wisdom. There is much more that the custodial team does to service their customers, the town employees. The facilities division of 2 trades mechanics, HVAC and electrical, provides support services for all town buildings and its occupants. 19 building structures are operated and maintained by the facilities department. They are Town Hall, built in 2001, Senior/Community Center, newly built in 2021, Library, originally built in 1967, and an addition in 1978. Police Department, which was also the Town Hall before 2001, was built in 1953, an addition put on in 1969, and renovated in 2005 and 2006. Kennedy House, built in 1918, renovated in 2006. Fire Museum, built in 1920. Academy Hall, built in 1803. Firehouse 1, built in 1962. Firehouse 2, built in 1958. An addition added and renovated in 1998. Firehouse 3 was built in 1980. Town Garage, lower bays, built in 1965. The higher bays built in 1995. Salt Shed was built in 1989. Parks Garage, built in 1978. Parks Garage Shed, built in 1978. Elm Ridge Pool Building, built in 1961. Amphitheater, built in 2005. Maxwell Park Electrical Service / Storage Building, built in 2002. Ferry Park Bathroom Building, built in 2015. Channel 14 Building, built in 1800. So that's a total of 159,000 square feet. Industry standards considers 50,000 square feet per 8 hours per person shift. We are understaffed by 1 person. Not included in the square footage total is the facilities division is responsible for maintaining electrical infrastructure of all our parks and ball fields, water and sewage services to the park structures that have them, the maintaining of the streetscape sidewalk lighting on Church Street, and the new sidewalk fixtures on both sides of the Celestine Highway, more than 80 fixtures in all. The facilities tasks consist of monitoring utility usages. Planned maintenance throughout our facilities due PM program generates 1,177 PM work orders just this past fiscal year. 661 total routine work orders completed. Performs regular routine filter changes in all HVAC equipment in all buildings quarterly. Performs boiler maintenance / cleaning in all buildings yearly. Performs coil cleaning and maintenance to all AC packages units and split systems and necessary repair of breakdowns or replacements on our mechanical systems. Performs plumbing and drainage repairs. Maintains fire systems, sprinkler systems, fire extinguisher maintenance systems, security systems, keys and door hardware, key metric systems, fob entry system. Maintains and services all of our building electrical panel distribution equipment. Maintains and repairs a total of 22 overhead doors at our firehouses, 11 overhead doors at the town garage, 3 overhead doors at the salt shed, 5 overhead doors at the Parks Garage, and 3 overhead doors at PD. Performs general carpentry, roof repairs, masonry maintenance. Performs furniture repairs, cubicle builds, and office renovations. Maintains 5 elevators, 5 generator sets. Supports the IT department with cabling runs for data installs. Maintains hazardous material compliances. Once a year safety training renewals. performs building assessments once a year using the facilities maintenance engineering reports yearly. The building assessments also drives numerous projects that need to be project managed that is categorized, prioritized in the facilities building improvements plan, building repair plan, and building maintenance plan, and much more. I would like to take this time to thank the town manager, the town council, past, present, and future, for the support of the facility/custodial department. And most important, I want to thank the facilities team for their dedication and hard work, and also John Murphy with the help of this presentation. We do not have a written mission statement yet. If we did, it would read like this: we will run the extra mile to provide the best service to our fellow employees so they can service their customer base, the taxpayer.
John, can we have a budget presentation just like this?
Right?
Every single one. Every single one of them. That's what I'm talking about.
Move the page.
John Murphy.
IT John.
Yeah, well done. They will need him. So.
Thank you, Phil Sear. That was phenomenal. Very informative.
And that's it from
That's a wrap.
town manager. No more Forrest Gump episode scenes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, a motion to go to executive session for the purpose of contract negotiation discussion with town manager and Director of Human Resources and Legal Compliance regarding International Brotherhood of Police Officers, Local Number 316, Rocky Hill Police Department.
I think it was modified. So here, you
um,
can read this highlight.
That was a former police union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for the purpose of contract negotiation, contract discussion with town manager and Director of Human Resources and Legal Compliance regarding Fraternal Order of Police, FOP, Lodge 043, Rocky Hill Fire Department.
Police Department.
Rocky Hill Police Department. Sorry.
I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.